Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAIA basketball one podcast at a time. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, happy Tuesday. Glad to have you along. Remember, we're going to continue our postseason player interviews Tuesday and Thursday. So this Thursday, we'll have Matt Simpson out of Florida College. So tune in for that as well. But today we have Harrison Steiger, Oregon Tech, Hustlin basketball. Obviously, everybody knows I follow Oregon Tech. Harrison, I've got to know him over the last few years. He and his family. It's going to be odd next year going to an Oregon Tech basketball game and not having Harrison Steiger. But you'll hear him talk about this. But, you know, Harrison is kind of an all-around athlete. He's a little bit of a throwback. He played everything in high school. He really didn't specialize in one sport. Most observers believed he would play football. He was a great receiver. He decided to go to Oregon Tech more for the academic side, and he had some friends there. But when he got to Oregon Tech to play basketball, boy, that receiver side really took off. You know, Oregon Tech likes to play a fast pace, run the lanes, fast break brand of basketball. And he was just really the perfect person to run those lanes. Those guards get that ball to him on the fly, and he was one of the best finishers in the country. Also a great defender, good all-around team guy. Everybody at Oregon Tech is going to miss him. So why don't we just go ahead and give a listen to Harrison Steiger, Oregon Tech Hustlin basketball. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Harrison Steiger, Oregon Tech Hustlin basketball. Thank you, Harrison, for being on the show.
Yeah, no worries, Billy. You know, it's always cool to be able to do stuff like this, so I'm happy to be on.
So, Harrison, you grew up in the Portland metro area. You played football and basketball, Wilson High School. You really had a long, successful athletic career, kind of capped off playing Oregon Tech Hustlin basketball. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I want to start kind of in the middle of this story. For people who haven't watched you play, you're a very athletic wing, love to run the court, and you were a favorite target of Mitchell Fink, probably one of the best point guards ever to play small college basketball. Mm-hmm. He hit you many times running down that wing on that, probably one of the best fast breaks in small college basketball at the time. What was it like to run the lanes when you knew Mitchell Fink was going to get you that ball?
I mean, it was a blessing, honestly. You know, having a point guard like that. That's you know, one can get his own bucket, but two, just be super unselfish and you know, look to get other guys involved. It was really you know, I was really blessed, and you know, I mean, that's our style of offense just kind of really suited me and Mitch's strengths, I thought, because you know, one of the first things we preach here at Oregon Tech is to run the lanes, and you know, not just run it 70% of the time, but just, you know, every single time. You know, 100% sprint down the lane, and you know, you'll get a lot of, you know, easy buckets that, you know, you wouldn't get normally. So you know, I thought it was just kind of a match made in heaven, you know, just regarding the offensive style, and Mitch was just I mean, he was unselfish, but he was also just a talented passer. You know, not a lot of guys can make, you know, like 3/4 court chest passes, you know, on a dime and, you know, in stride. So you know, I was really glad that, you know, he was kind of leading their offense, and also just in the half court, you know, he would draw a lot of attention and, open up a lot of stuff, you know, just like backdoor cuts or whatnot from him.
You know, I have a question, Harrison. I've wanted to ask you this for a while. I know that Coach expects you guys all to pound the boards because rebounding is a big part of the game. How do you make the decision when to take off?
Yeah, well, it is kind of a thing you kind of learn with experience, you know. You know, when I first got here, in high school, you know, our offense was nothing like the one here. You know, we were taught to, you know, everyone crash the boards, and then, you know, we'll figure, you know, we'll get transition, you know, in other ways. But part of it is kind of trusting the other guys to grab a rebound. I would mostly guard other teams' guards that wouldn't be crashing. So you know, there were some opportunities for me to, I wouldn't say leak out or cherry pick, but I'd always kind of, you know, hang out in that area, you know, above the 3-point line. And you know, as soon as, you know, the coaches kind of taught me, like, if I see, you know, if I think that our guy's going to get it, just turn around and, you know, sprint. You know, those first 3 steps are, you know, are the most important to, you know, getting out on the break. So just, It is kind of just like seeing where the ball is going, see where our guys are, and if I think one of our guys is going to grab it, then just take off.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
let's go back to when you were growing up in middle school, high school age. You were kind of an all-around athlete. What sports did you play?
Well, growing up, I played football, basketball, and baseball. Every single year up until my freshman year. I stopped playing baseball, but then I picked up track for a couple years. So it really wasn't until my senior year after basketball season was the first like time I really had ever off from a sport. But I had a lot of fun. A bunch of great memories. I made a lot of friends, and it was nice because at Wilsonville, we were on some pretty successful teams, no matter the sport. So it was really fun to just be able to kind of like play whatever sport was in season. Have fun and be successful as well.
I never got to see you play football, but I understand you were you were a pretty good receiver. Did you get some offers to play football?
Yeah, the only scholarship offer I got was to the Air Force Academy, but I preferred walk-ons to Boise State, Oregon, and Oregon State, and Portland State. So in high school, I thought football was honestly was my better sport. I thought I was a better football player than basketball player. So, but the cards just fell towards basketball, and I was totally fine with that. When making my decision to go to college, I wasn't really too worried about what sport because I was fine playing either one. It was just kind of more, like what's the better fit for me academically, stuff like that.
So what drew you to Oregon Tech?
Well, honestly, like the biggest thing was Tyler Heave, who's went to same high school as me, was a grade above me, committed to Oregon Tech. That was the first time I really heard of it. Even though OIT had a lot of prior success, hadn't really been. The news really hadn't gotten up to the Portland area about how successful of a program it was down there. So the first time I kind of heard it was from Tyler, and Coach Parnell was at a couple of our games in our practice, and I kind of just met him there. And originally I thought he kind of thought I was just like just a football guy, and probably wouldn't play basketball, but he found out that I was considering playing basketball too. So that was kind of how that relationship started.
When you first showed up in Klamath Falls, you said Ty was there, Mitchell Fink, who I know you got to be pretty good friends with. Seth was there. Yeah. They were sophomores. What was the transition for you like going from the high school game to the college game?
Yeah, I mean, it was completely different. I mean, at Wilsonville, it was our main kind of focus was just to defend, and practices were almost all defensive drills, and that was fun. We had a lot of success playing like that. But then in college, like the game is just so much faster, and the big guys you're playing against, they're like 6'10" instead of 6'5". Guys can shoot from wherever on the court. So yeah, I mean it was a big transition. Like I remember just my first time getting into my first career game. Like I'm on defense, and I'm just like I can't even think about like what's going on in my head. I'm just like, gosh, I'm actually like playing collegiate basketball, and it was just kind of like it's kind of like a woe is me moment. Like, gosh, like I'm really out here. And, but it's been a lot of fun. The coaches and all the players back then, really good about freshmen, and not being like mean to the freshmen just because they're freshmen. Everyone's been really welcoming here. Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm laughing, Harrison, is because you had what most considered a pretty fast transition into the college game. When you were a freshman, I mean, you didn't make many mistakes on the court. I mean, you seemed to fit in. You seemed to adapt really quick for a freshman.
I think my freshman year was a little up and down. Start of the year, there was a game where I'd play, I think we were down at William Jessup, and I played, 2 minutes that game. And then, middle of the season, I'm playing like 30 minutes a game. And then, a few weeks later, I'm, playing back to 10 minutes a game. So, I mean, it was, a lot of up and down as my freshman year. I'm sure almost every freshman has felt that. But, yeah, I mean, I was, like I said, I was really blessed to just, have coaches that, welcomed me and players that, welcomed me and trusted me. And, also, like I said, Mitch was, really, really unselfish about, getting other guys the ball, including me. And
your freshman year, you just talked about that team. You guys were pretty good, but it took that team a while to kind of get their feet under them. But you had, and I think it was like 2/3 through the season. I know you'll remember this weekend. You went out to Eastern, and then you went to College, Idaho, and you swept. That's the toughest road trip in the Cascade. You know that. Yeah, and you guys swept. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that's when I realized this team had, that team had, a great future.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty exciting. I'll never forget that game at Easter. But anyway, uh,
Yeah.
when did you realize that you were part of something special?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that week, the week going up into that weekend, and that weekend was kind of that moment for me. You know, we had I think that week it might have been a Monday or Tuesday practice. We had a meeting. You know, we had a practice at in the evening, but we had a meeting beforehand, and it was a total like player led meeting. Coach Farnell came in the locker room, but just said you guys need to talk for a while and figure some things out, and if we practice tonight, that's fine. If we don't, whatever, just like when the meeting's over, we need to be, all on the same page. We need to be together. Because at that point, we were kind of fighting for our lives to make the national tournament. And that really meant something to us. So, in that meeting, we just, I forget exactly what was said, but it was probably 2 to 3 hour meeting, and just, guys just kind of, hashed out their beefs or their issues, and we all just kind of got on the same page. And then, from that point on, that weekend we go and play College of Idaho. And, I'm sure I forget what they were ranked exactly, but, they're a great team, and we went in there and just, played really confident. We started just then got like, I remember the first few minutes of that game, we just couldn't miss a shot because, guys are just, really confident and just, believing in each other. And, I feel like that was kind of like the first step in starting something special.
And then that night at Eastern, I remember Andrew Weber went 10 for 10. It was probably the best
Yep.
game of his career.
Yep.
So that season you did get to the national tournament. You lost to Briarcliff in the first round.
Yep.
I'm jumping ahead the story, but you made the national tournament every year you played. That's pretty
Yep.
special. Not very many guys can say that.
Yeah, I mean that's something I've talked about with the fellow seniors this year. Like like I said, I'm just really blessed to be here because like making the national tournament here, it's like it's almost like expected. There's a bunch of hard work that goes into it, but there's teams, many teams in our league that like their goal like they've never even like been close or anything like that. And that's just something it's just hard to imagine. Like I mean, and maybe that's also come from high school with, we've had a lot of success in high school, just making it far. And like, yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky to play with a lot of great players and, have good coaches. And, we've been able to be successful in a pretty tough league. So
In your sophomore season, that was kind of a dream season. You ended up beating College Idaho on Danny Miles' court, last game of the season for the Cascade Championship. I know you remember that night. Just talk about some of the emotions of being able to win that championship on Danny Miles' court.
yeah, I mean, that was, we have all these like pictures up on our, in our locker room, and like all of them are basically just from like that night or like the locker room, afterwards from that night, just because, like everyone was just so happy, everyone's got a smile on their face. And gosh, it was, it was a lot of fun because, College of Idaho, they're always a great team. They're always tough to beat, either at home or on the road. So, it was packed house, and it was basically just kind of a perfect storm for to have a big crowd and a lot on the line for the game and stuff like that. But yeah, that was kind of when we started to roll. That towards the end of the season, and able to get the win, and that's just kind of made us think like maybe we could. Because the previous couple of years we make the national tournament, but get bounced in the first round. So that win kind of made us think like, gosh, maybe we could really do something this year.
So you went out to Sioux Falls for the tournament. You beat Antelope Valley, a team that you had played earlier in the season. You beat them in the first round. Then you had to go up against a really tough IU Kokomo team, and you got past them in that round of 16. And then that sets you up for a game against the defending champion Indiana Wesleyan Wildcats.
Yeah.
So going into that game, you knew they were the favorite for the tournament. You were the big underdog. What were you thinking going into that game? What did you think your chances were?
I've always kind of had, confidence in myself and my teammates. I didn't, going into that game think like, oh, we had a good run, like, but we'll probably lose because, they were, defending national champions, and they had, all these guys and transfers, they're a really good team. But, I thought, if we just play our game and, play hard, play physical, anything could happen. So, it was just kind of one of those games where like, I feel like almost everyone on our team had like their best game of the season. Mitch had, almost a 30-point triple double, and guys like Matt Van Tassel, as a freshman, had some threes, and I feel like everyone was just kind of I don't know, it's just everyone was playing loose and free. Which was kind of cool to see because we were still kind of a younger team, but going up against kind of the powerhouses they were, I thought we showed a lot of just poise and confidence, and that was kind of I think that's what won us the game.
Harrison, there's a lot of storied moments in Oregon Tech Hustlin Owl basketball history. There's Jake Carr's free throws back in the day to beat life. There's the 60-footer over in College, Idaho to knock them out.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now Kellen Gehrig's runner will live in history down in California. That's another one. But Scotty Burge's big three at Walla Walla. But one of the top five is a jam dunk over Evan Maxwell in the second half of that Indiana Wesleyan game. Do you remember that play?
Oh yeah, hardly. I mean, it was all just kind of like it all happened so fast. My mind kind of blacked out for a second. But yeah, I remember that it was one of those things where I was guarding a guard kind of at the top of the key, and then I think Mitch's guy shot the ball, and like when it went off, I could see he was kind of going to Mitch, and that was one of those times where I just I think Mitch is going to grab it, so I just took off running, and the guy I was guarding didn't really get back with me, so I kind of had that that breakaway, and then I got it. I saw that Maxwell was coming. I almost didn't go for it because I know he's a 7-foot shot blocker, but I said why not? It's a national tournament. There's a bunch of people here. So yeah, I was able to dunk it, and yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was quite the celebrated play. You went on to beat Indiana Wesleyan, and then you had to take on College, Idaho again. Was it a blessing or a curse when you thought, okay, we've got to play College, Idaho, because you have the familiarity, right? You know what you need to do, but your odds get worse every time you play somebody too.
Yeah, that's true.
Were you concerned at all going into the College, Idaho game? You ended up beating them pretty good.
I mean, not really. I mean, I think the most fun games I've had in college are, most of them are against College of Idaho, just because there's just that the familiarity, with them, and we know what they do, they know what we do, we know all their guys, they know all us, and I don't know, it was kind of cool to play them on a court, other than here in Klamath or over there in Caldwell. Yeah. So I mean, it's always fun playing them. So, I mean, I didn't really care who we played, but, when I matched up against them, it was kind of cool. And also I just want the Cascade Conference to do well. So, I was, we were all cheering for them in their other games. So.
And then you ended up losing the championship game to Spring Arbor, who was a very good team. You were able to, how many guys, Harrison, get to say you were able to play in the championship game. Your next year, I want to touch on the next year. I think it was your junior year. You guys were really loaded. Mitch was back, Seth was back, Ty was back, Kyson. You guys were just loaded, and you're ranked number one in the country. But a bad omen early in the year. Kellen Gehrig broke his foot. And a side note, I think Kellen was one of the best players in the country this year. But Kellen got hurt, and then as the conference started, guy after guy after guy, Kyson went down, Ty went down, Seth went down.
Yeah.
And you went from playing 17 minutes a game up to playing 38 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Do you remember that period?
Yeah, it was funny. Me and I was talking with Coach Parnell the other day, and we kind of talking about that season and how it obviously sucked seeing those guys down, but selfishly speaking, I was really excited, because I was basically playing the whole entire game, and I feel like those injuries kind of just gave us a mindset. We're just we've got really, really unlucky, but who cares? Let's just go out there and ball. Mitch, it was basically me, Mitch, and Scotty out there for 40 minutes playing the guard positions, and I feel like it just kind of gave us a whole new confidence, and we were able to still kind of keep the team afloat. Even after missing a bunch of guys.
Yeah, what most people probably might forget about that period of time with all those injuries. I don't remember exactly, Harrison, but I think you won 8 out of 10 in that stretch. You lost one game by 2 or 3 at Northwest Christian, and you lost another one. But you were able to stay in the top 10.
I thought that was a testament to just kind of how close we were as a team. Those guys that got hurt, they could have been, all mad and stuff. But I thought they were good about just kind of staying together and still cheering on the teammates, and coaches kind of still bringing guys together. So that was obviously really, really important, because I feel like most teams, you lose 4 or 5 rotation guys, their season's kind of over. So I mean, and we were really lucky to have a lot of depth on our team. So,
Hey,
but yeah.
Harrison, do you remember this night at Corbin? Like you said, it was just you and Scotty and Mitch playing guard almost the whole game. And then
Hmm.
at Corbin in the second half, Mitch came up lame. I don't know how else to say it, holding his knee running off the court.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
I do. Like we're all kind of just like, I mean, like it was just like one of those things. Like, oh, of course, Mitch is going to get hurt now. Like we've had half our team go down, and then now Mitch, and Mitch was kind of our catalyst guy. So that really would have almost put an end to our season. I don't say, but I do remember that. But he ended up being fine, thank God. But
Yeah, I think the trainer put
yeah,
some magic potion on him or something. He was back a few minutes
yeah,
later, but
yeah, I must have.
you like I say, you ended up a 2 seed going out to Sioux Falls, and obviously you
Hmm.
didn't get to play. They stopped the tournament, but you
Yeah.
had by then you had Ty back, and Ty was playing really well, and Seth
Hmm.
had his hand was healed. He was shooting the
Yeah.
ball really well. How confident were you heading back to Sioux Falls that year?
I feel like had to be, even though we were a 2 seed, in our heads, I thought we were, one of the favorites to win the title. We basically brought back, like the whole group from the previous years. So, we had the guys that were healthy, had the experience, and knew what it took to make it all the
Hmm.
way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, we were really excited to start playing, but I mean, like, obviously, the bracket got canceled, and I kind of put into the season.
Harrison, this year you guys made the national tournament. You had 21 wins, but this team definitely had some disappointments. One of the
Mm,
biggest was that home loss to Warner Pacific in the
yeah.
Cascade tournament. You guys had time to regroup before the national tournament kicked off, and you definitely played well down there in Rockland. Did you guys
Hmm.
do anything different preparing for the nationals? Because you just came an eyelash from Kansas City.
Obviously that home loss to Warner was really disappointing, but and there's normally we play a game and you have a day off the next day, if you don't have a game the next day, but coach kind of challenged us and he was like, like if you want to get better, then we're practicing tomorrow. Things are going to ramp up a little bit. So guys took on that challenge, head on. Practices were a little more intense because we knew we need to get better. Win a national tournament game or make it to Kansas City. So coaches challenge the guys. A lot of guys kind of, realize that, it's the end of the season. If we lose, we're done. So I thought the guys kind of reacted well to the, it was a disappointing loss, but, I thought we took it, pretty good and, thought of it as a time to improve. And, it did pay off because we did play pretty well down in Rockland.
Yeah, you played Hope International in the first game. They are really good. I think they were really good.
Yeah.
But you guys made a great comeback. I don't remember you guys went down. I don't remember the numbers, Harrison. But and then as I mentioned a moment ago, Kellen Gehrig hit that runner right at the end. It was one of the most exciting moments of Oregon Tech basketball. I mean, what were you
Yeah.
thinking when he I think he went coast to coast, didn't he?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, I think there was about like 4 or 5 seconds on the clock, and coach ran up the play to just kind of him to catch her on the run and just go get a bucket. And he's so good going to his left, and he has really good touch around the rim. So I thought if he could get kind of like a mid range area and shoot that high floater, it was going to go in because he'd been playing really well lately, and he just made that little hesitation move and got to the spot I thought he'd get to, and as soon as he shot, I was like, that's game. I knew it was going in, and he made it, and yeah, and that was really cool. I was glad to see, really happy for him for that, and just glad to see our guys, because it kind of been a while since we all been, really, like smiling and happy during the
Yeah.
game. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was a big win. You made it to the round of 32. It's a testament to Oregon Tech basketball. That Rockland's a long way from Klamath Falls, and it's even farther from Portland, where a lot of people come from. But you had a
Hmm.
really good crowd there in Rockland. Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, honestly, a little bit. Especially that second game against Jessup. I was like, gosh, like I feel like we have almost as many fans as they do. And we're like 4 or 5 hours away at least.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of something that like it's not normal, especially like in a small college basketball setting. But it's almost kind of the norm for OIT fans.
Yeah. Do you
You know,
remember? Do you remember you hit a half court shot at Warner Pacific a couple years ago at
hmm
halftime,
yeah,
and I knew that there was a lot of Oregon Tech fans in that gym. It's a fairly small gym, but when you
yeah,
hit that half court shot, everybody came to their feet, and Harris and I looked around, and the whole gym came to their feet. That was the
yeah.
moment I realized there was a ton of Oregon Tech fans there. Oregon Tech really travels well on the road, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. You know, especially up in the Portland area, you know, against Warner Pack or Multnomah. You know, it's like most of our players are kind of from that general area, and guys' families are from Portland or live there, or alumni. Guys who used to play on the team. So, but like it's even like in Eugene or in Salem, or anywhere really. It's really cool, and that's one of the reasons why I came to Oregon Tech is just because the on my visit, like at the home game, it was like, there's like 2,000 people here. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
if it's just, the fans have been great. And, even at Southern Oregon a few years ago, a big rival, they're supposed to pack the house, but I feel like we had more fans than they did.
Yeah.
So just, stuff like that, really means a lot to the players.
So Harrison, you're majoring in civil engineering. You're going to be wrapping up your degree shortly. What's next for you? You're going to head back to the Portland area when you graduate?
Yeah, probably something like that. I'll probably do some sort of internship thing or some year-long program that kind of helps engineering graduates kind of transition into the real world, so to speak. But then after that, I'll probably head out of Oregon or at least the Portland area and just kind of see what that has to offer me.
Well, you're going to definitely find that civil engineering degree is going to serve you well. Trust me.
Yeah, I hope so.
Harrison, I want to thank you personally what you brought to Oregon Tech Hustlin' Owl basketball. I've enjoyed getting to know you, getting to know your family. It's been a real pleasure to watch you play over the past few years. You've been a really important part of the program, and I know a lot of fans who are huge Harrison Steiger fans. So thank you.
No, yeah, thanks, Billy. Like I said, my time at Oregon Tech has, really been a blessing. I consider myself, really lucky, and, coming here was the best decision I ever made. So obviously the fans mean a lot, including you, always shown shown support, wins or losses, every single year. So, stuff like that means a lot to us. And, I appreciate everything you've done.
Hey, thanks a lot, Harrison. I expect to see you in the Valley when the Hustlin' Owls play up there.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure. Don't worry.
That's Harrison Steiger, Oregon Tech Hustlin' Owl basketball. Thank you, Harrison.
Thanks, Billy.